Welcome. I'm so glad you're with us
Yay.
this morning. So
Yeah. Good
Selena
morning.
is a pediatric occupational therapist and has brought essential oils into her personal life and into her practice. And we're here with Oil Stories this morning, just getting an inside look at what her life story is like and how oils have made a difference. So glad
Yeah.
you're here. So
Yeah.
tell
I'm
us a
excited to
little
be
bit
here.
about
Thank you.
your life and practice before oils.
I worked for about 10 years in the United States. I mean, I've been an occupational therapist since 99, but I worked in the US doing about 10-hour shifts in different clinical settings. Some of them specialized in sensory integration, and others that were like a school and outpatient clinic where I was what they call the therapy clinical coordinator, which I say is some administrative duties in addition to having a full caseload. So I got to see a bunch of different diverse children and families, an amazing learning experience in one of a key clinic and school for children with special needs. So basically, I worked a lot of hours, and had an amazing family life, and fortunately, a very supportive husband to come home to, and children that were already bathed when I got home after 10-hour shifts. But I was definitely overstressed in many ways, and I had that tendency to be, in that fight or flight state since I could remember. But I would push through, and so I would definitely just kept doing that, to at that stage in our lives provide for my family um, and serve the families that I was serving in the clinic.
Yeah. Yeah. Long days. Lots of,
Super long days.
yeah. Lots of mental, emotional, physical
Work. We'd see
work.
about 15
Work.
patients per day. It was our average. So yeah, it was back to back, and if somebody didn't show up that was an outpatient, you could run to a classroom and get a different child and treat them. So
Wow.
we definitely kept us on our toes. Um, One of the things, I was actually introduced to oils by a friend, a physical therapist, um, Debbie, and she would diffuse on guard in our clinic as a way to kind of boost our immune systems in the environment.
Fantastic.
So that was like my first exposure to doTERRA oils.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So what shifted? You were in an office in an environment where your whole day was structured and time blocked. But now I see your life is completely shifted into a much more manageable, much more relaxed kind of experience that I'm noticing. So what was the shifting point for you?
I definitely started managing some health issues. Not that I hadn't dealt with gut issues and skin issues, which took me from like a 10-year journey of being passionate about learning more and more about health. Um, but the shift was basically I was dealing with some adrenal fatigue, and it was time. It was time for many reasons, and I just felt that things shifted into place to be able to say it's time to let go of what I've been doing so long and find more balance and trust in God for provision.
Yeah.
And that's where I got introduced to doTERRA. And so that opened up like a whole, like that was like a sign for me. It was one of those moments of, yes, there's possibilities, there's other things, there's other ways to create and still serve humanity the way my heart is driven to do so.
What was like the one of the first times an aha moment with the kids? Like you work, tell us just a bit about specifically what type of situations are you working with your children? And
Right
then what
now,
was an experience you had with the oils that was like, oh my gosh, if I integrated this could be
I mean,
amazing.
there's so many, but can I mention a few?
Yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah,
I'd say that I'd start walking around with my keychain and my samples, and
yeah,
I knew that some of my parents were on budget restrictions, so I always wanted to have things available for them just to experience
yeah,
the healing potential. So, I mean, experiences as treating scars on craniums after like huge surgical interventions and using frankincense and other modalities that I use because I work electroacupuncture as well. And having a surgeon say, "Whoa, what happened to this scar?" Was one of my aha moments for
yeah,
sure. Having a child with about 10 seizures a day in my arms and couldn't stop sneezing because of allergies. So you can imagine this child is medicated with about 3 anti-seizure medications, and I'm doing work on her cranial sutures to work on just circulation to the head and stuff that we do. But she's sneezing and can't stop sneezing and can't stop sneezing. And I grabbed lemon, lavender, and peppermint and put them on the bottom of her feet. And mom and I just look at each other because she immediately stopped sneezing.
How old was she?
She was 2.5.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, babies that can't breathe, because when I go see them, they have a super bad cold, and some of these babies have very complex medical conditions as well. And just lathering myself and breathe, like, so I don't, sometimes in the moment, like when we're on rescue mode, you want to
Just
give the
breathe
child a
on.
relief. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
You want to give the child a relief without getting into conversations with parent. So sometimes I would just lather
Mhm.
my hands and hold that baby with
Yeah.
whatever oil,
Yeah.
and notice a difference in their ability to breathe.
Wow. Wow. Good
Also,
morning,
their ability.
Sandy. Good morning, Felicia. Thank you for
Hi,
watching this
everybody.
morning. Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely other things like just having a kid come in with conjunctivitis and
Hmm.
being able to do a blend and put it on their eye, and by the end of the day, them being better for a parent who's already stretched to no end, because we know that parenthood is stressful in general. But if you're managing several therapies a day and managing a child that already has some challenges, adding in illness, just your common cold, is definitely rough. So to
Yeah.
be able to give them a quick solution, it's I don't there's no words to describe how beautiful that feels.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. These are our babies here. These are our children who are having challenges that many of us as adults have never experienced.
Right.
And so to be able to have something natural and powerful at your fingertips that you can use. How would you know what to use?
I mean, basically, I studied my top 10 oils. I mean, the moment I got my kit, I honed into those top 10 oils. That's
Okay.
at the moment what I had the money for. And I said, I'm going to take advantage of every drop I have here. And I think this is an incredible opportunity. I had already, done so much alternative work that I knew that with that $150 that I was investing in our wellness,
Yeah.
and therefore saving on our illness, you know, and contributing to the children that I touched every day, and contributing to the
Yeah.
world through, our co-impact sourcing. So it was just a win, 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 win.
Yeah. Ah, that's great. Investing in the top 10. So you just implemented in your practice initially just the top 10 oils and
I
began
mean,
distributing
basically,
them.
yes. But I
Okay.
would have to say that shortly afterwards, I definitely integrated balance. Like once I
Ah,
discovered balance,
yeah.
in the recent years, I've created like this passion for how to regulate our nervous systems.
Hmm.
Like I call it like a stress hacker, like this passion for finding ways that we can calm the stress levels. Because I would see that in the parents, the children, our lives, friends, family. Like if we had one thing in common, and I think recent research says that 80% of all illnesses are stress related. So I had this passion for that. And when I discovered that all the research done on balance oil, and it's already a very powerful blend, it was a simple go-to. It also doesn't have a very strong smell. So for my kids that are hypersensitive to smell, I could put it on their feet without them screaming. Like peppermint doesn't always roll that way
Right.
with my children.
Right. Right.
you
Yeah.
know so definitely they'd walk through the door, and I would put that on the bottom of their feet before initiating like the micropoint stimulation electroacupressure protocols. And then I would go into what is known more as traditional therapy in occupational therapy, which is working on independence and daily living skills. So that can be anything from going to the bathroom to learning to eat alone to maneuvering yourself out in the community, from swimming. I mean, sometimes I'd jump in a pool too. But to have that kid in a state of more balance, I
Hmm.
mean, no pun intended, was, was beautiful, because they're more receptive to the rest of the process and more able to take it in.
Okay. So if we have an occupational therapist who's watching today or someone who's in the healthcare field and you were to give them your best tips on just implementing the top, let's say 11 oils, so the top 10 and balance, what are some ways that you found immediately helpful with the kids with just
Uh,
talking about the top 10? Give us some specific.
talking about the top 10, I would definitely
Mhm.
learn your top 10 because you can work on a lot of just common illnesses with the top 10. I mean, you can cover almost anything. So conjunctivitis, respiratory issues, scars, allergies, which that entails will reduce the stress of this family and help everybody, you know? So just knowing those, and of course you want to know precautions like not going out in the sun with a lemon. But all of these oils have such amazing properties that just learning those. But if I had to simplify it, like if I had to dive in and say,
Mhm.
look, start with this.
Mhm.
You know, if I had coffee with a friend and said, hey, start with this, I would definitely say, you know, have your serenity and your balance. I would probably have the On Guard going at the clinic just to protect ourselves and the families from any
What are
immune
you
stuff.
using Serenity for that's different than balance?
Um, when a kid is super upregulated, or I mean, I guess in common terms, it would be more like climbing the walls.
So Serenity is the restful blend, right? So it's a very sedative blend with lavender, vetiver, cedarwood, hoe wood.
Yes. And
So
I find that sometimes a little more sedate, like a little more
Mhm.
calming, a little bit up. And that I learned that more when I was learning more about like post-traumatic stress and combining serenity, balance, and vetiver as our Xanax or our Valium blend, or you know they've used it for PTSD and severe anxiety. So if I had a kid
Yeah.
that's very, very fight or flight, you know, fearful, stressed, I would definitely maybe up the level of calming oils. But as my first go-to, I start with balance on the bottom of feet. There's also some research to say that it doesn't only open us up at a physiological level, right? Our cells start moving through our bodies differently. But friends who do some healing work have also reported that they've had just patients more open to receiving any
Mm.
sort of treatment. So I also look at it from that emotional component. And I
Okay,
know, we all know that the more calm we are, the more open hearted we are.
for sure. More willing to receive,
Mm-hmm.
to learn, to experience.
Right.
How about you've already mentioned lemon, lavender, and peppermint you use together to help someone stop sneezing.
Yes.
So in the top 10, you've also mentioned On Guard for immune support. And I imagine you use that and you may be diffusing that in
Yes.
your office in the area.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, Peppermint, you said, is a little bit strong for your children. Is there any other, what are other ways? Are there any other ways that you're using peppermint in your practice or for you personally?
I mean, if a kid's having asthma, I've definitely gone to peppermint. If a child's having respiratory distress,
Okay.
I feel that sometimes, in addition to breathe, having peppermint um, is just very powerful, and sometimes gives that openness to the respiratory system that is needed to give the child relief. I mean, not too long ago, my niece came, who's a teenager, hasn't had much exposure to oils, and she had a shot with like peppermint and water, and she was having an asthma attack, and she was quite surprised with the results, you know. So, so it's just that, you know, just powerful oomph. But now I
Mhm.
do have to mention that since I've been doing this, I mean, I've been involved in doTERRA consistently as a wellness advocate for the last 2 years. And when the kids kit came out, I mean, you know, like I
Yeah,
throw this in my therapy bag
yeah,
now. So,
yeah.
I mean, I will have to tell you, but this is more new. I would be making my blends at the beginning. Like, I would have for sure my balance, bergamot,
Mhm.
and frankincense too in my purse. And I would have
Mhm.
these common ones that I've already mentioned to you. But those was like, as I learned, I would add to my toolbox. So I would walk around basically with, at the beginning, with some rollers I had created to go to work in my therapy bag.
Look at
And
that.
then
Yeah,
later, when they facilitated our lives with the children's kit, which is amazing, I
yeah.
just pull this out, and depending on the child's level of ability to express what they want, I let them smell. I always put it near them to make sure that they're not getting like you know, although we know that resistance sometimes is things we have to work through, right? But
Yeah,
I want them to enjoy
right.
the process. So, I mean, I would definitely recommend pediatric therapists to look into this because it's already all made. for them.
Wow. Right.
Yeah. So
I love how I think in that set there are three for physical health and there are three for to support emotional health.
correct.
One in the emotional health is specifically brain health. It's the thinker blend.
Mm-mm.
That's one that is one that our third daughter loves. She says, "Oh mom, I got
Mm.
I mean I can't focus. I need my thinker."
Yes. It's so great when you see that.
She likes In Tune, which is the adult focus blend as well. And I feel like there's a bit more of a stronger response with her when she does use Intune, which is the adult one. But she's 7. She's not 2 or 3.
Right.
Because the kids kit is just absolutely perfect for our babies, toddlers, little
Yes.
ones, pre-K.
Yeah, and I have 6-year-old twins that I see, and I go to their home, and it's just hilarious because they want to smell them all every time, and then they
Oh
want to pick what
wow.
they want. Thinker is a big popular one for them, and truly, I mean, it aligns with what they need. But sometimes they just want to lather in a few, and so I definitely have to like rein them in, like, no, you can pick 2, because they're like putting it all over themselves, But it's great to see the excitement and the willingness.
Wow. Okay, so we've been talking about your kids a lot. How about you? You mentioned that they were long days, a lot of stress. Um, and that was causing a toll on family. Your husband's cooking meals, like the stress level must have been pretty intense. What is it?
Yeah.
What is your personal regimen as a caregiver? I know you've got to be taking good care of yourself. So what are you doing for yourself?
Um, I I definitely do frankincense under the tongue every morning. So that's definitely where I start. Whenever I bathe, I have my fractionated coconut oil or my MCT oil in the bathroom, and I use oils also using discernment and my intuition.
Mhm.
So depending on what I'm doing that day or what I'm doing in that moment in the morning, since it varies. Like this morning, I went for Align because I want to align with this experience and this greater purpose that I've been feeling in my heart for a long time. And you calling me
Uh,
has like giving me that push into something. And so
yeah,
I want to align with that. Balance is always a go-to as well, but I love balance and bergamot. So I use those frequently.
that was a blend you mentioned earlier. You mentioned balance, bergamot, and something else
And
together.
frankincense.
So what is that
Balance,
for you? What does that do for you?
that's really like an anxiety calming blend for me. It's also very pleasant and like grounding.
Okay.
So it would just remind me to breathe through life and bring some joy into it and be able to settle into a more balanced state. And I absolutely love the smell as well.
Mhm.
So it just hit my limbic system of pleasant joy to smell it. It is
I
one
know
of
that,
my favorites.
I know that bergamot is the oil of self-love and frankincense is the oil of connection to the Heavenly Father. I
Yes.
don't know what the emotional summary or overview of balance is, but I would imagine it would be balance in life,
Yes, and I think it has to do also with just grounding and opening up, So
opening up.
just being stable
Good
enough
one.
to be able to open up, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, all of those great qualities. Bergamot definitely hit home when we read it in one of our classes. Once I read the emotional components of bergamot, I definitely felt like, I mean, my life was being placed on the table at that class.
Yeah.
Felt a little revealed, but all for good reason and good
Yeah.
growth.
Yeah. That's so great. Okay, so you've mentioned frankincense, balance, bergamot. Could you run us through your day really quick? Like, what are you using first thing in the morning? What are you using in the
Okay.
afternoon? And then what are you using in the evening?
Okay. So I wake up in the morning and I put frankincense under my tongue. I've been using turmeric lately too. That's a new thing I've added in more for like cognition, helping with like foggy brain and just awakening just the brain
Okay.
piece. I like and the anti-inflammatory properties as well. So I'll
Cool.
put those under
Very
my
much.
tongue. I brush my teeth. I put on my toothbrush On Guard, a drop, in addition to our On Guard toothpaste.
Okay.
The shampoo, if I'm going to wash my hair, and conditioner, and all the hair products have been key in my home. We have a lot of hair, curly and abundant. And
Yeah.
what's been really amazing about that is the scalp, just health for the scalp, less itchy, dandruff, elimination, and stuff like that. And then I come downstairs and I might put in my coffee some cassia or some clove. I just like the flavor of those in coffee. I know they have
Yeah.
great also emotional and physical properties,
Yeah.
but I always moisturize with the coconut oil. Like that's my lotion, and whatever oil that day feels right for me. But many times I'm kind of in love with the yoga blend right now.
Me too.
So, I mean, I absolutely love Anchor. I love Align, and I love Arise. So all of those kind of have been fitting the bill before I go to yoga class. I love the way you use them, which I've learned some tricks that you've taught me, but I sometimes would just put them in different places in my body or just use one as my
Yeah.
moisturizer for the morning.
Okay.
Then for throughout the day, if I have any sort of joint pain or I feel inflamed for any reason, I use the copaiba. Headaches also copaiba and frankincense under the tongue.
That's
So I
great.
might do that. I might do that during noon. I also take the supplements, and I'm a big fan of GX Assist. You know, since I took antibiotics for many, many years for cystic acne, as well as Accutane and very strong medications. So I definitely wreak havoc on my gut. So just balancing my gut and not like I feel like it helps balance the good and bad bacteria in my gut. So when I take my supplements at the
Mhm.
beginning of the month, I
Yeah.
usually plan on doing 5 days. I don't necessarily do the 10 days that Dr. Hill recommends because I've been doing it for a long time. I initially did, and then I'd kind of back off. And I also share it with my family. So that way I feel like I'm deparasiting my family for, the beginning of the month, kind of cleansing their guts. And
Yeah, for sure. And do you find that it affects mood as well?
yeah, and skin issues too. I
And
notice a
skin
big
issues.
difference, especially with things like, warts, molluscus, even my acne. Like I notice when my gut's not in place, it doesn't matter what I put externally on my face. I need to
Mm.
work on my gut to not get breakouts. So that helps. And I've noticed a difference in the girls, like when they've come back from Puerto Rico after eating rice and beans in abundance and lots of sugary things. If they do 5 days of GX Assist, their skin gets better. Either the acne or, Amanda came back with a bout of molluscus all over her arm that she had had for 6 months, and I had been trying to treat it topically, and it wasn't healing. And GX Assist, 5 days, 2 times a day, it disappeared. It dried up.
GX Assist internally.
GS internally, and she was 11 at the time. It was amazing.
Wow. Wow.
So
That is a powerful, powerful.
yeah, at night, I'm a big fan of my kids struggle with allergies. They're much better now though, using Tri-Ease. So everybody gets some Tri-Ease usually around here, especially in allergy seasons.
Hmm.
In addition to the supplements, I am a big fan of On Guard in their rooms. My youngest had nosebleeds because she had she has allergies to funguses. So when it's rainy season in Florida, which is kind of always, she would have nosebleeds. And a pediatrician at an integrative pediatrician office said you need to use On Guard. And I started doing it at night, and her nosebleeds went away. So I'm a big fan of just doing that for them, especially
Immune
when school
support,
starts.
removing nosebleed.
Yes.
Wow.
Immune support and also the antifungal properties of On Guard are powerful.
Yeah. Okay.
So that made a huge difference. And so now I'm just a believer that also when you have teenagers, it's hard to always get them on their vitamins and disciplined. So I always feel like at night that's boosting their immune system,
Yeah.
and it makes their room
Probably
smell
sweet.
good too.
Yeah. Yeah.
My husband is a big fan of copaiba and frankincense lately. He's working different shifts, and so it kind of throws off his circadian rhythm. And he now goes to the copaiba and frankincense as a way to calm and be able to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And we diffuse in my room breathe and serenity, which I really love those two together.
Mm.
And that's more for like snoring. breathing well, and also relaxing the nervous system, of course, and getting restful sleep.
Yeah. Okay.
I use a lot of oils on my face. I still, struggle with some breakouts and stuff. So for whatever is healing,
Mhm.
restoring, like the hydrating my skin, healing scars. I'm a big fan. I eliminated all the chemicals that I would put on my skin, and doTERRA has an array of options, some more moisturizing than others, some that help with breakouts. So depending on, what season, what time of the month, I play around with the different options for facial stuff before I put on my makeup as well.
Do you use a specific carrier oil or just go with coconut oil?
I've been doing coconut, although I really love like the Immortelle collection. The Immortal collection that is part of the Virage collection that has the serum. I'm
Mhm.
fairly new to that, but I've had really good results with those blends. And what's beautiful about that is even if you don't have, number one, I bought it with my points. So being
Ah,
a loyalty customer, like I've got to give kudos to that because I
yeah.
have those points to spend on products that normally I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And then those have very expensive oils in them. So
Yes,
I
they
don't
do.
have to have rose and helichrysum
Hmm.
and sandalwood, I don't have those in my collection right now to make my own blend, but I can
Right.
have it in that bottle
But you can
together.
have an Immortelle made for you. Yeah.
Yes. And
That's
really, all of those oils, like if you look at them individually, have good properties for acne and hydration and wrinkles. And so you're getting just a lot in one.
which is why so many natural products are referencing rose water or tea tree oil or frankincense
Yes.
or sandalwood, which are all really good for repairing skin. But the problem is they may be putting just a fraction of that ingredient, or it's a poor substitute for that ingredient actually in the skincare. So you actually going straight to the oil and putting the oil
Yes.
directly on your skin is like it's like this huge shot of uh, I don't know, amazing stuff to help your skin
Yes.
repair itself. It's like the best of the
Yes.
best going right for it.
Yes.
That's
Yes, for
fantastic.
sure. For sure.
Well, we need to wrap up here in just the next minute or two. Is there anything else, like looking over your whole life and your practice and anything else that you want to leave us with or share before we wrap up?
I would definitely say that, like, as part of my epiphany, being able to grow with our amazing doTERRA team
Mm,
has made me a better person. And, therefore, if I'm better, then I can create better things around me and to those around me.